Three, two.
All right. What up, everybody? We're back on GLX Sports Football Fan Talk. This time we have a special wrap-up end of the year edition. I'm your humble host, Big G.
And it's the young architect back at it again, man.
Yes, yes. This is gonna be a little different than our regular show. Usually, we get down. We're still gonna have a regular show Thursday where we're gonna go over last week's games more in depth. Oh, excuse me. And go over the playoffs, make our picks and all that. But today we want to go in a little bit more on just the overall season. The season's over, the regular season, about to get into playoffs. So, man, we want to talk a little bit about the teams and what to expect next year, what happened as far as coaches being fired and different things of that sort. So, with that said, we're going to start off. We're going to break it down, go a little bit division by division. Go over the standings and talk about some of these teams a little bit, some a little more than others, and give a little prognosis as far as what happened this year, what to expect from the team next year. So, with that said, we'll start off in the AFC North. In the AFC North, that's the Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. And that division, it's pretty solid this year, all things considered. The Bengals, of course, was the division champs at 12-4. Ravens were 10-7, given all their injuries and what happened to them. That's pretty dang good. Steelers, of course, they managed to eke out over 500 for the coach, Mike Tomlin. Still never had the under 500 season. And then the Browns pulled in the rear. And given their controversy, they're 7-10, not too bad. So, young architect, what do you make of this division here, man? What happened over the year and what do you think the prognosis is for next year?
I think the Bengals are part of that three-headed monster in the AFC that is like those teams that are building a dynasty as far as like the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals, obviously. One of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and Joe Burrow, showing his true leadership this year, dealing with the injuries. Some of the teammates didn't return from last year. Obviously, you want to say like losing that Super Bowl. Sometimes they call it like you could have like a Super Bowl hangover. And they did kind of get off to a slow start. They didn't necessarily look good in some games, but to come back on top and be 12-4, it speaks volumes. The Ravens, dealing with all those injuries, they gotta pay Lamar Jackson, and two, they have to put real receiving weapons around him. If not, the Ravens will always be a mediocre team, and Lamar Jackson will be looked at as the franchise quarterback who they wasted on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I did just see today that they re-signed Roquan Smith to a 5-year, $100 million contract. I don't know how that's going to affect Lamar Jackson. But, hopefully everything looks right because, quite frankly, I like Lamar Jackson on the Ravens. They built that system around him, but now they need to put the proper weapons in front and around him in order for them to continue to be successful. Because 10-7, honestly, I feel like for this year was overachieving, especially dealing with the injuries that they had. Steelers. The Steelers, hey, I applaud Mike Tomlin. I applaud that team because they fought for Mike Tomlin. You know what I'm saying? Everybody said at the beginning of the year there were talks about Mike Tomlin possibly being on the hot seat for having his first losing season. I was one of those people that was saying that, Mike Tomlin, he's probably going to have his first losing season. But as the season progressed, like I saw like that team, they really, really fought hard. You know what I'm saying? And to scrape it out at the end, that's kind of like in true Steelers fashion. Hard grit, that team that, they're kind of bend but don't break. They'll do what they can to get that win, which they did. And the Browns, man, I give all props to Jacoby Brissett. If you look at it, those 7 wins that they got, man, majority of it, was on the hands of Jacoby. Obviously, the defense wasn't up to par. Jacoby did his thing for coming into a situation where basically he knew, like it wasn't his job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They bring in obviously they trade for Deshaun Watson. He's suspended for 13 games or something like that. And Jacoby comes in and he gets the Browns 7 wins. I mean, that's more than what I feel like what could have possibly even happened. Going forward, Jacoby Brissett definitely is a starting caliber quarterback. He proved that this year. And hopefully for whatever curse is looming around Cleveland, like they they get that fixed. They call a witch doctor or something. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, for as long as I've been alive, I think I've seen Cleveland have a winning record maybe three times, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but all in all, I mean, AFC North is kind of where I thought it would be. Bengals, Ravens. Honestly, I thought it would be Ravens, Bengals, but some of those two teams at the top, and then filtering out the bottom between the Steelers and the Browns.
Yeah. I agree with you for the most part on everything you said, man. I think definitely the Bengals have ascended upon the elite.
Mm-hmm.
They're, starting off in the year, they started off slow. People were like, maybe last year they just got hot, made a run. That's it.
Yep.
But towards the middle of the year, they seemed to find a groove. And, they won about 6-7 games in a row and just kept it going. I think they're up to like 8 now, 8 or 9. So they found their groove.
Yeah,
They're
they did
amongst
some
the
of that
elite.
without their number one receiver. So, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, now the expectation is high. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, okay, you're there. Like you said, three-headed monster. They're due to compete for the Super Bowl this year. And then you have the Ravens, always the Ravens. You know what I mean? Them and the Steelers are similar in the sense that they're an organization like led team to where there's going to be minimum 500 record, but usually a little higher. But the Ravens did it. They always do it with so many injuries. Doing that without Lamar Jackson this year for the most part, tail end of the year, got to give it to them. They crept in the playoffs, but although I think the stay is going to be nice and short, but still, they got in there. And shit, if Lamar plays this weekend, might be some issues, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be a cakewalk. And then, when we get to the Steelers, they made a late push for the playoffs. To be expected. They had a rookie at quarterback for most of the year. Trubisky, you can't expect much from him. And, it's kind of the Steelers will be there next year. Remember in the draft before, I was like, Pickett is going to be the one quarterback I picked in that draft that may ascend at some point. I guess so far as Brock Purdy, but who saw that coming? Then, you move on to the Browns. I think next year will be their year. Much was expected from them this year, but it's just like, man, really, that's wishful thinking without a true signal caller. Jacoby Brissett, he's solid. He's always going to be like, you can't expect too much from him. You know what I mean? Solid quarterback, man. And, they have a true signal caller back there now. Now Deshaun Watson, he's played some football finally after damn near 2 years. You know what I mean? So he got some games under his belt, experience, getting back to the speed of the game. So going forward next year, man, Browns, they're going to be one of those teams that I expect to do well. You know what I mean? Like how you picked the Lions last year to be one of your squads. I think next year the Browns will be putting in some work. Yes. So now we'll push it along to the AFC South. In the AFC South, you have the Jags, the only team to make the playoffs in this division at 9-8. Titans 7-10, Colts 4-12, Texans 3-13-1. Actually, the Colts are 4-12-1 because they tied each other. But this division, you want me to go first and break it down and you come after? Or you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Again?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, in this division, I think the Jags, at some point, they may start ascending. They made the playoffs like a year early. You know what I mean? I didn't expect them to make the playoffs this year. Didn't think they necessarily had the experience to make a push. Although before the season started, some people picked them to make the playoffs. So go figure. I think, Prince Charming over there, Trevor Lawrence, I want to see how he does in the playoffs. If he, he's a big game quarterback as far as like college. He played in the biggest games you can, and he afforded himself well. So last week he didn't play too well, you know what I mean? But going into the playoffs, we're going to see if he can, rise up to the level of competition, because it's going to be more intense. But they are at home. We shall see. The Titans, they kind of got decimated by injuries. Otherwise, I think they probably would have been the team to represent for this division. You know, the Colts are right now, they're a shit show. You know, to put it in, layman's terms, they just they got some work to do. You know, no Jonathan Taylor for most of the year. He was hurt. No signal caller. They tried to get Matt Ryan back there, but he's a shell of himself. Man couldn't move, so that is what it is. Texans, going through another coach. I like how Lovey did in that last game of the year. He's like, I think I'm going to be fired. So let me go ahead and go for 2 points and let you get the second pick instead of the first.
Exactly.
I like that move, man. But, overall, average division going forward next year. I see the Jags and maybe the Titans battling it out for the division title again. What do you think?
I kind of agree with you on that one. I kind of been on the Trevor Lawrence hype since he came out of Clemson. Like I remember saying like once they got rid of Urban Meyer and they brought in Doug Peterson, I kind of had an inclination that like they were going to be a lot better because Trevor Lawrence has a real head coach. The Titans, that is just unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? They made an idiotic move in trading AJ Brown. I feel like if they had AJ Brown, it would have made a difference regardless of the injuries. Kind of like a quarterback carousel would do with the injuries as well. Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis not really playing up to par. Then they bring in Joshua Dobbs, who actually he doesn't look bad in that first game that he played. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all in all, Tennessee, they're definitely missing a few pieces. I feel like if they can get those few pieces in the offseason, then yes, they will be able to compete. But I think the Jags are up and coming, and I think they will be on that more so on the rise and more so trying to separate themselves from the rest of the division. The Colts, I kind of called from jump. I didn't like the Matt Ryan signing. I really didn't. I figured he was way past his prime to carry that team, albeit that they were, coming off Jonathan Taylor being injured. Their defense not really being as good as they were last year. And then the firing of Frank Reich, I feel like that was a big part of it as well. I feel like that was really unfair to Frank because, if you get the circumstances, if you look at it, if we're being real, Frank Reich's supposed to have Andrew Luck right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I don't think that was performance-based. I think that was some more disagreements amongst
I agree.
management type of thing rather than the guys just something was going on there.
Because then you look at it and you see like they bring in instantly, who do they bring in? Colts legend, you know what I'm saying? And Jeff Saturday to be a head coach who hasn't coached in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and better off bringing in Peyton Manning.
Exactly. You feel what I'm saying? Like they could have brought in Pat McAfee. I don't know. But realistically, you look at it, 4-12, and then obviously with the tie, that's it is what it is. The Texans, hey, I'm with you on that. I applaud Lovie Smith for being like basically F y'all get this second pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we all knew, we called it at the beginning of the season. Lovie Smith was only going to be head coach for a year. We all know they really wanted what's that boy, Josh McCown or whatever, he's a high school head coach.
Yeah.
They really wanted him, but then they were like, oh, we got to hire the black dude. Like, which was like, in hindsight, it's like, bro, like, at that point, if you knew you were going to suck, like, you should have just brought in the high school coach, and that could have been your scapegoat. Like, oh, yeah, well, he only had 1 year. He has no head coaching experience. But to bring in Lovie Smith,
they gave him more than 1 year, though. That's the thing.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And that's the thing, though. You know what I'm saying? If that's what their plan was, I like how that Texans team played under Lovie Smith. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they weren't winning games, but they played with they kind of played like how Detroit did with Dan Campbell in their first year. You know what I'm saying? They showed flashes. They had heart, but they just weren't good. You know what I'm saying?
They had a little hot streak though, where they was giving some teams some issues.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They scored points on the teams. You know what I'm saying? They scored points on teams, which is, I really do like that running back they got. Was it Dameon Pierce? I think he's going to be hopefully, if they build around him, he can be a real threat in this league. But all in all, man, I feel like the Jags. This is the Jags division to lose for years to come. I would say for the next 5 to 7 years, this is the Jags division to lose. But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yes, yes. So moving right along, we got your division up here now, the AFC West. And, the usual suspect was on top, KC Chiefs. The Chargers came in second, Raiders third, Broncos last. The the Chiefs were 14-3, Chargers 10-7, the Raiders 6-11, Broncos 5-12. So I'll let you lead off bat on this one, man.
All right. Well, the Chiefs, I don't know why nobody was really talking about the Chiefs this year, but like they are a dynasty. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, Andy Reid is a genius. He's a head coach. He's an offensive mind. You trade away.
Hold up. You can't call a team a dynasty if they only got one Super Bowl, man. Gotta have more than that to be
building
a dynasty.
Building a dynasty, I should say.
Yeah.
They are, but to me, they're still number one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they didn't go all the way to the Super Bowl last year, but you look at it like I said, you trade away Tyreek Hill. Everybody was like, oh my, like instantly once they traded Tyreek Hill, they were like, the Chargers are winning this division. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically counted out the Chiefs, basically saying like, oh, without Tyreek Hill, you're nothing. What are you gonna do? But you bring in a Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You know what I'm saying? These bigger body guys who also have speed, and then you pair it with the Travis Kelce, who's still, top tight end in the league. They bring in a couple of defensive pieces, and by all means, man, they pretty much dominated the season. You know what I'm saying? Having only 3 losses. You want to talk about a crazy record? I mean, they were 7-1 at home. They only lost 1 game at home and 2 games on the road. I mean, hey, what are you going to do with that? Ended the season off with a 5-game win streak, so they're coming into the playoffs hot. Chargers. This is what you expect. This is what I'm not going to give the Chargers too much flowers because this is what they were expected to do last year. You know what I'm saying? You bring in Herbert, who they basically crowned him as the next young guy who's going to be that franchise quarterback who's going to be up there with the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the Pat Mahomes. And he has a chance to prove it this weekend. You know what I'm saying? So we shall see. The jury's still out. I'm not a big Herbert guy. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully, I'm really rooting for Keenan Allen because I think Keenan Allen is really underrated. He's one of my favorite receivers in the league. So, I'm more so rooting for him because he deserves that spotlight because he's been disrespected for a minute. The Raiders super underachieving. You know what I'm saying? Saying that at the beginning of the season, it was crazy. At the beginning of the season, people still had them coming in last place in the division because they figured everybody else was going to be that much more better. But there were still debates out there that there could possibly be 4 playoff teams coming out of this division. Clearly that didn't stand true. Raiders in turmoil. If you want to talk about it, like we can say as much as people want to put the blame on Derek Carr and him being the scapegoat.
Say don't go too deep. We're gonna have a whole nice little section on that a little later.
Okay, bet. So then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the Broncos. And basically, Broncos are underachieving the hill. They trade for Russell Wilson, and they get 5 wins out of it. And they couldn't score worth their crap. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson looked bad, but I feel like I don't want to necessarily put all the blame on Russell because they did bring in an inexperienced coach in Nathaniel Hackett, who again didn't even call plays for Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully with the new head coach, and somebody who actually knows what they're doing, the offense looks a little better, looks a little different. Because I'm sure John Elway is looking at it now like, damn, I just paid this man for 7 years with $200-something million.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, that all works out, and but this division, all in all, the usual suspects at the top, disappointing at the bottom, saying that the expectations were all four teams were potential playoff teams.
Yeah, and the thing with this division, like you said, this division is supposed to be the cream of the crop. It wound up being the NFC East, but it was like the AFC West. You look at the talent wise, it was stacked, man. And even, you can say what you want about the Raiders, man, but shit, going into halftime, blowing, I think, minimum 4 double-digit leads at halftime.
It was like the most in the NFL or something
Yeah,
like that.
so
ridiculous.
That team was in damn near every game, man. Top to bottom, still, I would say, as far as talent-wise, probably, because I can't even throw Denver in
Offensively,
there. Denver, they stunk up the joint. That was a total,
and they had like a top defense, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, which towards the end of the year was messed up because the defense just started getting tired, man. People started scoring on them, so the defense didn't look as, let's just say, as formidable. You know what I mean? They just, they start wearing down. But top to bottom, I still would say this is probably the most talented division. It's just, in football, you take those 4 games the Raiders had double-digit halftime leads, and then the 6 or 7 games where they actually had leads going into the third and fourth quarter. I mean, shoot, you take a 6-11 team and that team turns to 11-6. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I would say this year is a disappointing year for that division. Next year is going to be in the same boat. They're going to be expecting every team, with the exception of Denver, to do well. But Denver will have a new coach. You know what I mean? They fired Nathaniel Hackett. He was clearly overwhelmed, overmatched.
Oh, absolutely.
So they did the right thing there. And like going forward, we're going to see, man. We're going to see who stands the test of time because, we won't go into the Raiders too much right now because we're going to get into them later. But they had a lot of issues. So going forward, we'll see what happens, man. But overall, next year, I think, like you said, KC, they'll be right there. And people will be saying, the Chargers again. They're going to be saying the same thing, depending on what they do in the playoffs next week. So we shall see. And then we're going to go to the next division, which actually was the best division in football. The NFC East had the Eagles 14-3, Cowboys 12-5. The Giants 9-7-1, Commanders 8-8-1. Now in this division, the Eagles got off to that red hot start. 11-1 to jump out the gate, first 12 games, and it just looked like they're about to run away with the division. When in actuality, shoot, the Cowboys almost caught them, even though they freaking wet the bed the last game of the season. It wouldn't have mattered. They still would have been the game out, but still, it's another division where I look at the Eagles and Cowboys. I'm like, all right, I expect you to be there. But the Giants and Commanders were both big surprises, more so the Giants, because I just don't see the talent. They're a team I just didn't believe. I'm like, how the hell are they winning? But Daniel Jones played steady football. And then Saquon, he came back with a vengeance this year. So he put up numbers. I think he was about the 4th or 5th leading rusher or something. 5th or 6th leading rusher in the league. So he put up numbers, man, in this division going forward. Now, I can see the Eagles getting better. The only team I can see maybe falling off, maybe the Cowboys. I don't know. I can see the Giants getting better. And if the Commanders could get a signal caller, I can see them getting better too. They need to.
You don't believe in Heineke?
No. They ain't no Heineke, no Carson Wentz. Man, they need those. I don't even know about Sam Howell. You know what I mean? Like, I guess he played decent that last game, but they definitely need the signal caller, and then they be in the mix. But I can see them floundering at the bottom for the next couple of years, maybe. What's his name will be on the hot seat? Riverboat Ron. But we'll see, man. What's your take on this division?
Man, that's one of the things too. Like this year, I said like with Jalen Hurts getting that real number 1 receiver, I figured the Eagles are going to do I didn't see 14-3, but I definitely saw like 10, 11 wins this season. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about a team that was all around, you know, all around like kind of pretty much dominant on both ends of the football. You know what I'm saying? The Cowboys, I'm not gonna lie, I expected a little more. Um, as far as, I mean, don't get me wrong, I believe y'all were tied for the best record at home, with only one loss and 8 wins. But to see that, you know, this was like y'all had a more formidable year. Like everybody on the team was pretty much the same. Not a lot of changes. Micah's second year, you know what I'm saying? That defense was hitting on points, but then it showed like at times y'all might not be ready yet. You know what I'm saying? There are certain things where like I would see like necessarily the defense would crumble here and there, or Dak making unnecessary throws, and then another thing came into factor like luck. Like sometimes it's just pure luck. Sometimes you just got the bad side of the coin. Um, but all in all, I feel like if Dallas can go in and go into this wild card weekend and win, you know, I feel like that would speak more volumes. Whether y'all go further or not after this, whether y'all go further or not, but definitely going into this weekend and y'all get that dub, especially being on the road and y'all were 500 on the road, like it will, you know, that would say a lot. Especially and it's Tampa Bay, which is crazy for whatever reason. Y'all keep running into Tampa.
I
You know
know.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so if y'all can get over that hump, kind of like what the Ravens did to Tennessee, I want to say last year, the year before, but they just kind of finally got over that hump and they were like, okay, they can possibly take that next step. The Giants, their identity is Saquon Barkley, and you know I'm not mad at that. I think Brian Daboll schemed it up well to where like Saquon, his first year back, he looked really good. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about a team that overachieved? I would say the Giants are one of them. I honestly thought the Giants were going to be behind the Commanders in this division. You know what I'm saying? Just based off of pure quarterback play. Not saying that Daniel Jones is significantly worse than Carson Wentz, who was actually starting at the beginning of the season, but it's just like the Giants as a whole. I didn't know their identity, didn't know what they were going to do. And then the Commanders, another carousel at quarterback. I feel like uh, they bring in Carson Wentz to be like, you know, kind of their savior, but you know, but that team it believes in Taylor Heineke. The team does, not the organization. You know what I'm saying? But we all know the Commanders organization is, you know, a shit show anyway, so it's not really like too surprising to see
Yeah.
them here.
Yeah.
Seeing them at 800 is surprising to me. Um, but you know, hey, what are you gonna do? Hopefully next year, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they get it, like you said, they get a real signal caller, and maybe we'll be talking a different story. Maybe it will be the Giants at the end. Maybe it'll be, you know, maybe the Eagles regress. Maybe the Cowboys regress. Who knows? But realistically,
Yeah.
this division, who's supposed to be realistically the worst in football, I mean, it's looking like, you know, right now all the teams are on poise to be, you know, really good next year as well.
Yes, yes. Oh man, we skipped one in the AFC. We forgot.
Mm.
I forgot. AFC East,
Mhm.
man. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so let me run that back. You know, the AFC East wound up being a pretty competitive division. You know, I mean, you had the
Mhm.
Bills at 13-3, Dolphins 9-8, Patriots 8-9, Jets 7-10. And in this division, of course, we have another elite team, the Bills. They're ascending. They're always going to be competing for the Super Bowl for the next, 5 to 7, 8 years. You know, as long as Josh Allen is playing at the top level, they'll be around. You know, the Dolphins, they're formidable until, Tua, with his health issues. That withstanding, man, excuse me, they'd have been right there. They still
Mhm.
were right. But shit, they're in the playoffs. So, you know, it just feels bad for Tua, man. You know what I mean? Because I think the Dolphins, when completely healthy, they could have given some teams a scare going into the playoffs. But
Oh, for
I
sure,
think
for sure.
to play Buffalo in our first round, man, it's not going to be nothing nice. If they have
Mhm.
old two gloves Teddy, going. And I think he has a broken pinky. So that won't be cool. Patriots,
Mhm.
it's payback time for everybody when it comes to them, man.
This is Belichick's first losing season since like not having Tom Brady.
Yeah, man. Know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's
Yeah.
payback time. And with them, do they have some pieces? I don't know. If you believe in Mac Jones,
I don't even think they
maybe.
believe in Mac Jones.
Yeah, man. And with no freaking offensive coordinator, no defensive coordinator, man, you
Yeah.
know, uh, it's gonna be tough for them. Their organization, to me, that whole Patriot way, all that steadiness and all that, that shit has been cracked. I think Tom Brady masked a whole lot of, things that were wrong. So
Hmm.
uh, the Jets are on the come up, man. If they can get a another one, you need a signal caller, man. You need some,
That they do.
know, but it's gonna be some people out there. You know what I mean? We'll discuss that a little later. It's gonna be some quarterbacks available. So, might see a Jimmy G sighting or something. You know what I mean? You never know. So overall, I'll say, the Bills are gonna run this division for a while. Dolphins, if Tua can get his health together, may battle them, but that depends on his health, you know. What do you guys say about the division, man?
Um, I kind of figured honestly, I thought the Dolphins were gonna be, number one. Honestly, I hope Tua makes the best decision for himself, not for football. Because honestly, having that concussion and looking at like the how how when he first injured himself, like it was kind of like a routine play where he hit his head and his head just kind of snapped back. Like I feel like at that point, if I honestly, if I'm Miami, I'm kind of looking into it as we need to find another quarterback ASAP. You know what I'm saying? So they can compete. Don't get me wrong, I like Tua. He's a good quarterback, but I mean, being being quote unquote injury prone at this point, especially when it comes with like stuff with the head, it's not gonna that thing that they're building is not gonna last. Buffalo, like I said earlier, they're part of that upper echelon of teams in the AFC when it comes to when you talk about the Chiefs, the Bengals, and them. You know what I'm saying? At the beginning of the year, we all had Buffalo. Like everybody's like, "Oh, Buffalo's the team to beat." They're going all the way. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Um, the Pats, like you said, not. I think what kept them from losing less games was that whole Patriot way thing. Kind of stay the course, But like you said, this is their time where everybody's gonna be like, "Ah, you beat up on us for the past 20 some years. Like it's our turn now." You know what I'm saying?
Payback
Um,
time.
that Belichick defense, that bend but don't break, it's not. It's starting to crack. It's breaking. It's breaking down. You know what I'm saying? Like a old car. Uh, and then the Jets, man. You look at it like you get rid of Zach Wilson. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
you gotta. I get it. Y'all made that decision to grab him early and high, but if you look at it, even in that class, there are other quarterbacks that they could have took. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah,
but
man.
hey, what you gonna do? Hopefully, because they have the weapons on offense. They do. You look at Garrett Wilson, you look at the tight end Uzama, who came from the Bengals, even before the injury, Bryce Hall. You know what I'm saying? Who's all they need is not. They don't even need like a transcending quarterback. They need someone they can get like an Alex Smith type of quarterback, and they will do a lot better. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
but
So I said, oh,
we
sweet
shall
Jimmy.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
we shall see. We shall see because that division right there, that's another one who, quite frankly, if we're being honest, those are 14. Those are four teams with the way, even with the way they played, with the way they played this year. Those are four teams who could potentially be in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying for the AFC.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. But shit, let's kind of whiz through these next two divisions because
Mm-hmm.
shoot, we have a little bit to get through as far as like coaches firing and our teams to look out for next year, all that type of stuff. So next up, we have
Okay.
the NFC North. We have the Vikings 13-4, Lions is 9-8, Packers 8-9, Bears 3-14. This division, this is a weird one. The Vikings, I still think they're a pretender. That's like the craziest 13-4 I've ever seen in all my years watching football. Never seen a team with such a good record that I did not believe it at all. I would not be surprised they get bounced first game of the playoffs by the Giants. Giants shit damn near beat them already up there. Took a field goal to beat them. The Lions, I think they're up and coming. I think next year they'll be the team to beat in this division. Packers, I think they're maybe descending, man. I don't know if Rodgers will be there. The wide receivers did start coming up towards the end of the year. They got better. But I don't know. I think Rodgers, his voice rings hollow now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think he's the guy for that job. I think they need to move on from him. And then the Bears, I don't know. Justin Fields, man, what he say?
He's the
He's
highlight of
super
that team.
talented. But he's all they have, man. Well, actually, their running back crew is pretty good. They can run the ball, with him included. He got over 1,000 yards rushing, man. Like super talented, but Bears organization and quarterbacks really don't mix. So we'll see how that goes going forward, man. I don't know if I would trust Bears organization to do anything. I'll have to see. I play the wait and see game when it comes to them, man. What say you?
I agree with you on the whole Vikings thing, man. I just don't see it. I really don't. To say they were even 8-1 at home kind of blows my mind. The Lions, I called it last year, man. They're that up and coming team. Like I believe that the Lions will be a playoff team for years to come. Starting next year, they will be a playoff team. You will have to respect them. Packers, I think Aaron Rodgers gone. I think now this team is, like you said, they're in a rebuild. They're going to be in a rebuild. In the Bears, I don't really got much to say about the Bears, man. As an organization, they're just bad, man. You can't. They're just bad.
Damn. Yeah, man. Well, shoot. We shall see. And last but not least, the NFC South, man. Got the Bucks came in. They won a division under 500 at 8-9. Panthers were 7-10. Saints 7-10. Falcons 7-10. So overall, just a mediocre division with a mediocre champ. You know what I'm saying? Like freaking the Patriots, or excuse me, I'm thinking Tom Brady, the Patriots, but the Bucks.
Tom Brady's.
Just one game better than the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons, man. Just that division was horrible. Buccaneers was the most talented team in the division. They had a lot of injuries once again. Godwin in and out the lineup, Evans in and out the lineup, Fournette in and out the lineup, offensive line banged up. But, Brady being the quintessential freaking legend that he is, he rallied the troops. And, for him, all he needs to do is get in the tournament. That's his whole thing. Just let me get in there. Let's go from there. Take a game at a time. So I don't know what the Bucks will do. They play my boys, so we're gonna talk about that later. But we'll talk about that Thursday. But I don't, going forward in the future, I don't even think Tom Brady will be a Buck next year. Is Sam Darnold gonna lead the Panthers next year? I don't know. Who the hell is gonna be a Saints quarterback? You know what I mean? They didn't even use Jameis Winston. Is it gonna be Andy Dalton? That's who you hitching your wagon to, or at least the Falcons to be like, all right, our guy is Desmond Ritter. We don't know how good he's going to be, but I think they're the only team in the division that knows who their quarterback may be starting next year, which is freaking crazy. But, like I said, mediocre division, bunch of mediocre teams with an unclear future for all teams. So the Enigma division, what do you think?
Saying that Tom Brady's in the playoffs with a losing record kind of blows my mind. But that just goes to show you, like you said, this is like the worst division in football. And quite frankly, it kind of has been for a minute. If you think about it, it's funny that now you look at it, the bottom three teams all had the same record. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. I feel like for this division, for years to come, even if they don't have Tom Brady, I think the Bucks, just because of the talent they have, they're still going to be at the top of said division. But But for the rest of these teams, man, they need to figure something out. They need to get an identity. Uh, Panthers, they've been in the quarterback carousel. Saints, I have no idea what the hell they're doing. And then the Falcons, like you said, with Ritter. But even still, I don't even know if they fully believe that Ritter is that guy. I mean, we'll see going next year what they do. But
Yeah.
all these teams, man, none of these teams really have a solid foundation outside of the Bucks. They don't really have a solid foundation. So we'll see. We shall see. But as of right now, congratulations to the Bucks for being in the playoffs with a losing record. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I know. Like, somebody had to make it. Why not them? You know?
Exactly.
So that said, we ran through the division.
Oh, you forgot the
real
NFC
quick.
West. NFC West.
What? We gotta talk about the
so
Niners. No, I'm just playing. 'Cause, you know, Tito just
Damn.
hit me. Of course, we gotta talk about the NFC West, man. 13-4. You know, then we got the Seahawks came in at 9-8. The Rams 5-12, and then the Cardinals 4-13. Let you lead this one off, man.
The Rams have the worst Super Bowl hangover I've ever seen. Yeah, they've had injuries this year, but if you look at it, they bring in a few shiny toys, if you will. Yes, Bobby Wagner ain't what he once was, but he still very much was a good linebacker. You still have one of the best corners in Jalen Ramsey, who might not even be on the team next year, to be honest. Matt Stafford.
You might have to trade him to get some of them draft picks back.
Picks. Yeah, talking about F them picks. Hey, we need them. You wish you had them now. Huh?
Yeah.
Seattle. Hey, big applaud to Geno Smith, man. Overachieving team, kind of showing. Pete Carroll kind of showing that he is a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Everybody trying to be like, oh, it's Russell and all this, but like, nah. Pete Carroll proved that he's a good coach. Cardinals. I've never seen the team fall apart so fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were literally just last year and the year before, they were, talk about, oh, this is a team that's one piece away from being a real, like, playoff contender and, like, constantly being in the playoffs. Then the Rams. Not the Rams, the Niners. Ending the year with a 10-win streak, man. 10-game win streak is crazy. Quarterback carousel. You start off with Trey Lance, he gets hurt. Jimmy G gets hurt. Then you bring in Brock Purdy, who honestly, I heard the name, but I didn't even know who the hell he was. He literally Mr. Irrelevant, and he comes in and just does what he needs to do. I mean, I think the perennial thing for them this year was the trading for Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I give my props to Kyle Shanahan, man. He knows what he needs. He knows what he needs to do to get the best out of his players, and it very much showed this year that the Niners were like, they're with that defense, they're poised to go a long way. But we shall see, because anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yes. Well, I don't know. This was a big surprise in this division, man. Nobody expected the Cardinals to just go in the drain like that. But once Kyler Murray, it started off with the controversy with the contract. You know what I mean? I don't think they ever recovered from that. And then D-Hop missing so many games. It was just like their season was doomed from the beginning. We just didn't know it. You know what I mean? But it played itself out. And then the Rams, like you said, super big freaking Super Bowl hangover. And that team was one of those ones where, they start talking about that, oh, we have an all-star team and we got win for years to come, all that stuff. It seems like when you have homegrown draft picks and talent, the teams always seem to stick together and ride out a little longer than those teams that are put together. They did what they're supposed to. They accomplished, they got a Super Bowl win.
Yep.
That's what you're supposed to get out of that. They got it. But I think Jared Goff may make out in the long run. If he could squeeze out a Super Bowl, his tenure and the length will be better than what the Rams get in return as far as getting Stafford.
I agree.
I think maybe, next year maybe Stafford's last. You know what I'm saying?
This year might have been Stafford's last, to be honest.
He's very broke up, prone to injury. So we'll see how that goes. Quite frankly, I've always said that if Goff was a quarterback last year, I think they would have the same result. I don't think Stafford made that big of a difference. That's just me personally. Seahawks, man, they did better than freaking people expected. Geno, you know, I would say he's probably the comeback player of the year between him or Jared Goff, one of the two. But I would give it to Geno since he made the playoffs, and he has I think he has the highest quarterback rating, if not the highest. So he's up there. You know what I'm saying? So
and he's a Pro Bowler.
yeah, I mean he did his thing. So
Yeah,
I would give him comeback player of the year. And then when you go to the Niners, man, I didn't see this coming. You know what I mean? I
no,
know everybody knows they had that defense. That defense is stout. That defense could go anywhere and play. You know what I mean? And keep them in the game. So I can see they're gonna have a big decision to make next year. Cause is the ball gonna be Trey Lance's to go with, given what Brock Purdy is doing now, or do you like, hey, we got Trey Lance out here for anybody who can give us some draft picks, you know what I mean, if you believe in Brock Purdy. So we'll see. That's gonna be a tough decision for them to make going forward. We shall see, but I can see the Niners, man, if they keep this together, I see them running this division for the next 3 to 5 years. You know what I mean? No problem. Until they start losing defenders because, they're going to want so much money. But
yeah, exactly.
we shall see.
Can't pay everybody.
Can't pay everybody, man. So next up, man, let's move it along, man. Let's talk about some of the things that have happened. Some of these coaches fired, man. You had Cliff Kingsbury get fired. You had Nathaniel Hackett, he'd been fired. They fired Lovey. Sean McVay is talking maybe retirement. He's thinking about it. So that could be another thing for the Rams for next year. They may not even have a damn coach, man. They might have to look into that Harbaugh Peyton pool to see if he can get something out of there. I don't know, man. I think with the Cardinals, it's going to be tough for them to get a good coach, man. Because it's going to have to be somebody that worked with Kyler Murray. And he has a very specific skill set. So not just anybody can go in there and deal with that. You know what I mean? And with the Broncos firing Hackett, I think if they got Harbaugh in there instead of – people will say Peyton, but I see them – Harbaugh is more known for turning chicken shit into chicken salad, man. You know what I'm saying? He takes things
that Niners.
And Niners, freaking Michigan, Stanford. I mean, he takes teams that aren't too much of anything and make them something. And that Broncos thing need a major overhaul, And then Lovey, we know he is a stopgap for the Texans. The Texans are a horrible organization. They don't know what direction they want to go. And they had the flack for not having a black coach. So they got one last year, fired him in 1 year. Got Lovey this year, fired him in 1 year. So now they're going to go out this next offseason, and they're going to get who they want. So this next dude that's hired by the Texans is going to be who they really want as their coach.
They were looking at what's that boy name? Mike Kafka. Remember he played for the Eagles? He's like a career backup. Mm-hmm. He's an offensive coordinator for somebody. They were thinking about bringing him in. I know they're bringing him in for an interview.
What do you think about the coaching carousel?
Oddly enough, hear me out on this. The whole Cliff Kingsbury firing. I don't think he'll necessarily get another head coaching job in the NFL. But you know who I think could go? You just brought up McVay talking about possibly retiring. I feel like McVay and Kyler would be a good combination. Because McVay, if you look at it, I don't want to say he bowed down the players, but he kind of like, you know what I'm saying? He kind of lets his players kind of just do them. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing that I kind of read, so I could possibly see that happening. And it's funny because not even a year ago, Cliff Kingsbury had just signed an extension for till 2027 or something like that.
But it's
Uh,
crazy because he's never had a winning record anyway.
Never.
He didn't even
And,
have a winning record at Texas Tech, man.
and yet, I remember you bringing that up when they first hired him. I was like that, and that, it's crazy to me to think that you look at somebody, and then you look at like you said with the Texans, their turmoil. You want to talk about Lovey Smith, and then who was the coach before that who was good? The other black head coach, I forgot his name.
Oh, for
Uh,
the Texans?
yeah, I forgot his name, but he was the offensive coordinator, and they brought him in as the interim. Remember?
Yeah, last year. I forget his name.
I forgot his name, but he's another one that like you have these coaches who are capable, who are very much capable if you give them the talent, if you're willing to work with them. But you give somebody like Cliff Kingsbury, who quite lived, like you said, didn't even have a winning season as a college coach. Um, but hey, whatever. The Broncos, they talking to they've put in a request for quite a
Oh,
few.
David Culley was the coach.
Yeah, David Culley. Yeah. Um, they want, like I said, the Broncos. They're talking to a few. D'Amico Ryans, who has the Niners defense looking amazing. But do the Broncos want to bring in a defensive guy who's not really focused on offense with the Russell Wilson? I
I
don't
don't
know.
think that works, man. I
Um,
think defensive coordinators now that work better when they have the offense is already smooth, man. They
yeah,
can't develop
exactly,
one.
exactly. They're also looking at Darren Quinn, another defensive guy. But like you said, I think Jim Harbaugh would be an interesting pickup there for the Broncos. You know, seeing I don't know what the hell the Panthers are going to do. I think they just interviewed Steve Wilkes, who I believe was their interim head coach, but hey, we'll
Yeah.
see. Um, who else did I say? I think Washington fired their offensive coordinator after literally the report came out. I believe it was either this morning or last night that the players were mad that the offensive coordinator was basically just like wasn't calling any really good plays. It was a really stagnant offense. Um, so I mean, I kind of saw that Cleveland firing, I think their defensive and offensive coordinator. um,
It, man.
so
He have
I don't
nowhere to
know.
go
It's
but up.
yeah. So hopefully, obviously, I don't know if Lovey Smith is ever gonna coach in the NFL again. I don't know if he's gonna retire or not, but um, we'll see, man. We'll see. There's a lot of things that I feel like
All right. Well,
a
shoot.
lot of teams really need to wrap their head around.
Let's go a little more local. Let's get in let's kind of wrap up with the last three little things. Let's talk little Niners, little Cowboys, little Raiders. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Let's start off with the Niners, man. They're in the playoffs. They're a good team. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And going forward, the future looks bright. But what the hell did they do with the quarterback situation, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
like, if it were me, I would go ahead and freaking, I would, if Purdy could win a game or two in the playoffs and looking how because we need to see how he looks under pressure. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When the game's close and you got to make those throws. If he proves that he can do that under pressure, then you got to, man, maybe look forward to going to the future with him and freaking put Trey Lance on the block and see if you can get something for him. Because I looked at Trey Lance play. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of him in college because he's basically like freaking a varsity player playing against JV players. Damn near look like out there. He's a bigger dude. I mean, he's quarterback
He
running
went to
over
same
linebacker.
college as Carson Wentz, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? He's looked like a freaking. He's a quarterback running over linebackers and shit, man. You know what I mean? So it was like he is overmatched. The other people were overmatched in that league. So my God, I didn't take much stock out of that. And then watching him play, he just doesn't look like he has a grasp of the NFL game. So, and clearly Brock Purdy, he looks like he does. You know what I'm saying? Like even when he was at Iowa State, he was known for kind of just being steady. You know what I mean? Being a steady guy, not gonna make too many mistakes or whatever. But now he's playing with talent around him rather than subpar talent going against superior talent in that division he is in the Big 12. So,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy G's gone. So, That's a foregone conclusion. And you got Purdy. I would rock out with him, man. Trade Lance and then roll with that D. Then you look at Purdy, he's a rookie. He got to play under that rookie contract for about I think
Mhm.
3-4 more years or something. So
Yeah, I think it's
got him.
4. I think. And they got
Hey,
him in the 7th. Like, so he's
that's what I'm
not really
saying.
taxed. You know what I'm saying?
Got him on the cheap. You can keep it rolling, man. That's what
Hmm.
I would do. We got Tito done chimed in, of course. He hears team up, and then he gonna chime in, but he said keep Purdy, let Trey recover, send Jimmy to a good team. Yeah, that's about it. But I would trade Trey. Sorry. I'd bring somebody else in. I don't see Trey Lance for the future with the Niners, but
Hmm.
that's me, outsider looking in. What say you?
I'm kind of with you, man. If I'm the Niners, Jimmy G is gone after the season. Uh, if you want to bring in another veteran, you can go sign one for cheap. Um, Trey Lance, yes, I like that he showed like for me. Sometimes he's kind of like he'll make those big throws every once in a while. That occasional like, oh my god, maybe he has. He'll show like a flash, but it wasn't consistent. Um, Maybe you let him fully recover, and then he competes for Brock Purdy. And if Brock Purdy beats him out next year, then you roll with it like that. But as of right now, if I'm the Niners, Brock Purdy is my guy. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he can handle that damn Tonka truck you got over there, and that being the 49ers. I think going forward, like you said, that's a cheap contract, man. You get a 7th round pick who realistically you didn't nobody, I couldn't tell you who Brock Purdy was before I saw him start a game. But here you are now, with one of the best, well, obviously one of the best defenses, but you give him he has a he has a boatload of offensive weapons. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's what I'm saying.
So um I mean, and I think it's gonna help him out a lot that he has home field advantage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we shall see, because the playoffs will expose everybody, any and
Yep.
everybody. I don't
Because
care
they're
who
gonna
you
they're
are.
gonna be game planning for him. So we gonna
Yep.
see.
There's actual film on him now. There's a whole, you know what I'm saying? Uh, so we shall see. The jury's out for me on Brock Purdy. Um, but if he can make it out of wild card weekend, then by all means, I would say let him and Trey battle it out next year for the starter position.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I can see that. So next up, man. Let's go to my Cowboys, man. There's no year review that's complete without a nice little cowboy checkup. But you know what? My theme for this team, as long as McCarthy's the coach, we can do this. We can go win NFC East or come in second in NFC East. And then we can go to have a playoff game, whether it's home or on the road, and then we'll lose. And we'll get overmatched because we don't have a true leader. And I'm just tired of that. I'd rather bite the bullet. So if you ask me as a Cowboys fan what I'm hoping for this weekend, I'm really hoping for a loss, man. Yeah, because I hate to say that because I'm thinking years ahead. I'm tired of the McCarthy stuff. I'm tired of freaking going to just doing good enough to get in the playoffs and having the same result because I'm getting out coached or out, talented or whatever when it comes to the big games. And my hope is we get in this game, we lose, he gets fired, and we get Sean Payton as our coach. Because
He was supposed to be our
Payton,
coach back in the day, ain't
yeah, man, I think he could light a fire up under this talent. And, some dudes need reality check. Michael Parsons, that's my dude. I love him. But he believed the hype. He was hearing the Lawrence Taylor talk, and, you know, he hasn't performed going down the stretch. He's he don't even look average. Just looks like a guy. I look at him on the field. He looks tired. In crucial moments, I saw at least 2 times where he was rushing a passer where he didn't give 100% effort because he's either too tired or lazy or whatever. So I'm like, nah, we need somebody to light a fire under these guys. It's too Hollywood, and especially Dak. Dak needs somebody to push his ass. I'm tired of that. Freaking fool
Oh,
played,
Dakota Cousins.
man, 12, played 12 games, had 15 interceptions, man. Led the league in interceptions and missing freaking 5 games, man. That's ridiculous. So I don't know. That's for me. That's what I want, man. Because I know if we go to Tampa Bay, we win. Everybody's the Cowboys, they couldn't do it. Blah blah blah. Boom. And then that next week we go get slapped up. So
Hmm.
I don't know. That's just me. You have the outside vision looking in. What say you, man?
Um, I'm kind of with you on the whole Mike McCarthy thing, but I I feel like y'all don't have any leaders on your team, to be honest.
And
Um,
Dak's a leader, and Micah's the leader of the defense, but it's just like not true leadership. It's something's missing. It's
and that's
like,
why I said y'all don't have a true leader because yeah, you look at it on paper, those are your guys. You feel what I'm saying? But if they're not if they're not always given 100%, like they're gonna feed like the rest of the team is gonna feed off of that. You need somebody who like no matter what, whether y'all up 40 or whether y'all down or whether y'all down 40, you gotta have somebody who's gonna be like, all right, we gotta do this, and y'all simply just don't have that. And I think it does start at the top. I think it does start at the head coach. I feel like if y'all were to get a Sean Payton in there, I feel like it'd be completely different, especially looking on the offensive side, saying that y'all have those weapons. You have a CD, you have Michael Gallup. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
What's that? What's that tight end? What's that tight end y'all have? Not Dalton Schultz. This
Schultz,
is the rookie.
Dalton,
Nah, Hendershot. I like his last name.
Hinder.
Yeah, he's solid rookie. I feel like y'all, if y'all can honestly, if y'all win this weekend, I feel like that it would show who y'all real leaders are because it is the playoffs. And to be honest, if we're being real, Cowboys in the playoffs haven't been really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So we'll see. Hopefully, something y'all show something this weekend. But we shall see. And then if y'all do lose, then by all means, get rid of McCarthy. I hope y'all bring in Sean Payton because, hey man, as much as you want to see it, I want to see it too. I want to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. You got to see this. I've never seen the Cowboys. I've seen the Cowboys choke in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I want to see some of those stories you talk about back in the day and all that. Like, I want to see this with my
yeah.
own
I'm
eyes.
gonna say all you can look is the highlights from Emmett, Troy, and Michael.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. Last but not least, man, we gotta talk about your team, man. The other two people aren't here. I know freaking Raider Mike and Raider Lady 19. They would love to be here for this conversation. But I think this conversation alone, if they were here, would be a whole hour for the show.
Absolutely.
So I'll go first, man, because I'll let you get the last word on it because this is your team or whatever. But when it comes to Raiders, man, you know what? First and foremost, I think Carr's tenure has to be over, man. And you know what? I just think he's a regular quarterback. I don't think he's horrible, but there's something missing with that guy. Ever since that injury, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't think he ever regained the confidence to just stand in that pocket and freaking dig in and make the right choices. He gets happy feet and he like to get the hell out of there and throw that ball away, because you had number one rusher in the league. You had the number
Yep.
3 receiver in the league. And then Carr was the number 14th ranked quarterback, but he threw for 3,500 yards. So let's just project him because he missed the last 2 games. So project him just to throw 300 yards in each game. So that would be over 4,000, and that would put him in the top 10 of QBs. So it's like you got the talent. The talent is there, and man, I don't know. McDaniel, you have to give him a chance. I mean, what other choice do you have? You his first year in Denver, he did the 1 year and he was out. You know, with the Raiders, it ain't gonna be 1 year out. You're gonna have to let him rock his little program and see what happens. You know what I mean? And with the team with that much talent and having leads in like every game, you got something to work with. So you guys, you got some pieces, man. You know what I mean? You have everything you need. You got to show up defense. You know what I mean? Max Crosby, he's there. I don't know much about the Raiders personnel, but it seems like linebacking core is okay. Seems like the secondary is a little suspect, but
Mhm.
but you offensively, you got more than enough. At the running
Absolutely.
back position, receiver position, at the freaking tight end position. Needed Stidham. Is Stidham the answer? I don't know, because they get some film on him next year. Yeah, that might not be
Mhm.
too cool either. But if you're able to get some pieces for Carr, man, who knows what could happen? But you definitely need something, man. There's something missing. And if this head coach, if he can't put it together, like, all right, he's had 2 different stints, he has the talent, he got pieces to work with. If he can't get a winning season next year, I don't know what to say for you guys. You know what I mean? I have no idea. He knows how to get a lead. He don't know how to keep it. So, and next year you're not gonna be able to blame it on Carr. I don't think he'll be there. I think he'll be shit. Maybe he might be with the Jets. Shit, maybe he might be with the Bucks if Tom Brady leaves. I think Carr, he'll land somewhere with a team that's decent.
Mhm.
I don't know. What say you? This is your team. What do you think?
Um, I want to start off with the whole Derek Carr thing because since he's entered the league, he has had, I want to say, 6 head coaches. And of all 6 head coaches, he's performed best under Jack Del Rio. Even after the injury, he played with a little more confidence under Jack Del Rio because I believe that was the last coach he had that truly believed in him. Um, you want to talk about someone? I'm not saying he's like a transcendent. He's definitely not like a transcendent quarterback by any means. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying for somebody who's been somewhat consistent, always thrown for over, he's pretty much thrown for over 4,000 yards majority of his career. Um, just say that these last 2 head coaches basically have said they without saying Derek Carr isn't their guy. Like they've kind of made it like to where like Derek Carr isn't their guy, and he's kind of played against all odds. So I feel like this year, yeah, he didn't have the numbers that a lot of, and this is just Raider fans. A lot of Raiders fans didn't like expect. Obviously only 3,500 yards. When usually he's throwing about 4,100. You know what I'm saying, something around there, at least 4,000. Um, and then you have all these weapons, like you said. You trade for his quote unquote best friend and college teammate Devontae Adams. You have a Darren Waller and a Hunter Renfro. Both of them, even though they both go down, we still have other. You look at Mac Hollins, who stepped up big this year. Josh
Yeah,
Jacobs, who, you know what I'm saying. Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing. You know what I'm saying. Are they gonna pay him? You know what I mean? Like, what are they gonna do? Um, the defense. You bring in Chandler Jones, who ultimately had a disappointing season. He had one good game this season. You know what I'm saying? All in all, also you want to look at it like this too. Since 2014, the Raiders have had basically the 22nd or 20 in between 26 and 32nd ranked defenses.
mm,
You want to put it all. You want to put it all on the offense for not holding that lead, not being able to score points. Also, you gotta the blame also has to go on the defense because at the same time, like they can't stop anybody from not scoring. It's for whatever reason those adjustments, and I think that also starts at the top. You look at it. You look at Josh McDaniels. Even at his stint in Denver, like I think he started out 7-0, but then it caught up to him quick, and his true colors showed. I don't think he's a real. I don't think he's a real head coach. I don't think he's a real leader. He's a hell of an offensive mind, hell of an offensive coordinator. But even still, like say we were, like you said, I think Derek Carr. I agree with you. I think Derek Carr is gone after this season. I think I don't know if Stidham's their guy. They brought him in from New England. They groomed him. He knows the system. Whatever. Good on him. Um, but We shall see, because if he, like you said, if Josh McDaniels has another losing season next year, I don't see how he's going to be the head coach of the Raiders. Um, I don't know. I saw a report somewhere that basically, Mark Davis really wanted Tom Brady, but John Gruden said no. But now he has Josh McDaniels, who kind of has an in. Who
Hmm.
knows? Maybe they do something like that. Maybe they go get a veteran. Maybe they go get an Aaron Rodgers or something. I don't know. But
Gonna be out
realistically,
there.
yeah, so we'll see. But realistically, I think the Raiders right now, what their key focus should be outside of quarterback or whoever the hell is going to call their plays, whoever's going to be their signal caller next year, they need to find an identity on defense. I feel like that's their biggest dilemma, because right now they're looking like, and it's funny because you and I used to talk about this when you used to tell me about this when we were kids. Like Cal, like you can score all the points, but you can't stop anybody. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That's not like UC Berkeley special. We'll air you out. We'll score all these points, but shit, if you outscore us, then hey, we tried. You know, and that's kind of what it
Well,
looks like right now. We'll see going forward. I don't know. I've kind of been like over the last few years, I've kind of been more of a realist when it comes to the Raiders, because I don't want to be like, oh, this next year's our year, whatever. Like, bump all that. Like, when is it? When are those pipe dreams going to become a reality? I don't know, but hey, you know, at least I can get a Devontae Adams jersey in silver and black.
yeah, man. Well, the thing is, man, it sucks because if you don't have a talent and you're like one of those people like, oh, we're gonna get it, whatever, it's like, or whatever. You know what I mean? Get real.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually have talent. So it's so
Exactly,
tempting. It's like
it is.
you should be doing better. So I don't know, man. But we shall see. And I don't know. Is there anything else you want to touch on? That's about it, man. Until Thursday where we can get into last week's games and do our thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you know how kind of like it was kind of early on the Detroit and Cincinnati type thing, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to be those teams next year?
Next year, okay, we know Detroit already. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let me see. Matter of fact, I think I wrote something down for that. Oh, next year, I have a few teams that I think.
Okay.
Um, I think the Jags will be one of those
Mm-hmm.
teams. They're up and coming. I think they will eventually. That division's going to be up for grabs. I don't think the Titans going to keep that stronghold on it. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
Jags, definitely think the Browns, because they thought they would this year. They had all the pieces. They had the offensive line, the running
Mm-hmm.
backs, receiver. They got defense. You know what I mean? So for them, it was just a matter they didn't have a guy, behind it. They didn't have a solid signal caller. Next year they will. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? For the whole season. So that team, and then your Lions, man, they'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Honorable mention will be Steelers. You know what I mean, and
Yep.
maybe the Panthers if they can get a solid signal caller too.
Mm-hmm.
What say you?
For me, if the Jets can get a signal caller, yeah, and it's really all bars on that. If they get a real quarterback, I would say the Jets will be up there because that defense is stout. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on the Steelers and the Browns. I feel like Kenny Pickett's their guy for the Steelers. You know, and then the Browns again, like you said, Deshaun Watson. He'll have more games under his belt. He'll have more of a full off season with the offense. Like I feel like that'll be a lot better. The Jags, I think them making the playoffs this year, like you said, they kind of made it like a year early for me as well. Um, I already been on the Lions. And then for me, I think, and I'm gonna go out on a limb on this, and this is like this is I think the I can't even say it. Can't even say.
Ah, shoot.
I think the Bears are gonna make an improvement.
Mm.
I think the Bears are gonna win at least 6, 7 games next year.
Ah, we'll see. They're known to mess stuff up, man.
Because
So
which is true, which is true. But the only reason is because they have Justin Fields. You can't tell me the last time the Bears have had a quarterback of Justin Fields' caliber.
well, you know, the heck is that?
Huh.
Oh, that was me. Nah, he's not gonna be able to run like that. You know what I'm saying? Freaking
Yeah, no, no,
too
no.
many more seasons. So
But they said the same thing about Lamar, man. Like
yeah,
even Lamar,
look at where he is. He
exactly they have to get him
probably
help.
not even gonna play in the playoff game. You know what I mean?
No, he's gonna play in the playoff game.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. He's not missed. He's not missing that. I think if I'm not mistaken, the report came out that he's gonna play. But yeah,
He's
he's
not even
not.
100% healthy, from what I understand. So he may play, and that's because he just got that heart. He's a football player, and he wants to
Mm-hmm,
play. But nonetheless, he's still banged up, man. You know.
mm-hmm.
So I
Oh,
mean,
real quick. Speaking of, Lamar might go to Miami.
mm, that would be nice. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Ravens don't want to give him that money, man, oh, you might be
He'll,
able to put a little nugget there. That
he
might be a
might
little
go home.
something.
He might go
That would
home, and that's a lot of
be
speed.
that would be the perfect fit. That would be like the fastest football team in history.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Quarterback sub 4.3, Mostert sub 4.3, Waddle sub 4.3, Tyreek sub 4.3.
That's a
Yeah,
hell.
that would be insane.
Woo! That'd be dangerous.
Insane, man. Yeah. Well, man, we'll see, young Jeezy, young architect. You know what I mean? We're gonna wrap it up for now until Thursday. Thank you, my man Tito, for joining us once again. Hope to
Oh
see you
yeah,
again on
always appreciate
Thursday.
Tito, man.
We go four wide, have everybody on here. Until
Mm-hmm.
then, go ahead and sign off, young man.
Boy, the young architect, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. You know what I'm saying? I'll catch you on Thursday.
Yes, yes, and once again, it's your humble host, Big G. You know what I mean? Hope to catch you guys Thursday. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and join us again